Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Our focus this morning is on Beacon Hill, where we've got budget problems due to lower than expected revenues, ever-growing demands on the spending side, and concerns about what might happen on the federal level with our all-important Medicaid funding. And all that adds up to one thing: mounting pressure for tax hikes. Hold on to your wallet or pocketbook. Here to help us learn more about what's going on up there is the president of the Massachusetts Taxpayers Foundation, Eileen McAnneny. Eileen, welcome.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. Thank you for coming by.
My pleasure.
Good to have you here. So as we were taping this interview, Governor Baker still had not acted on the $40.2 billion budget passed the other day by the legislature. Obviously, the biggest problem they had to deal with was, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but a close to $500 million shortfall because they overestimated how much revenue would come in. I can forgive people for thinking, gee, we thought our economy was just chugging along here. What happened to our revenues?
Well, that is the $64,000 question. And what's interesting is this phenomenon isn't unique to Massachusetts in that all states have seen a tax revenue growth slowdown. The difference is, though, Massachusetts lawmakers have been slow to recognize it. So for the second year in a row, we've built a budget on overly optimistic revenue projections, and then we've had to change course after each branch, passed the budget, but before it's finalized, and take hundreds of millions of dollars. This year, around $800 million out of the budget. So, that's a tough exercise. And just to,
Go ahead.
By way of contrast, what I was going to say, most other states are expecting a 1% increase in tax revenues for fiscal year 18. Even with the revisions, our budget expects between 2.9 and 3.2, so almost 3% revenue growth. So it still may be optimistic.
This sounds like the Trump budget at the federal level, with expectations of growth that a lot of people don't sign on to.
Right.
Well, was this a responsible budget that they just passed? Is there waste in this budget?
So I will say it was responsible in several senses. The first is they didn't take any money out of the rainy day fund, and that's critically important because we're still in a period of economic recovery. So you have to put some money away for a rainy day, and thankfully they're on schedule to do that. The second thing is, this time around, they actually did make some cuts to spending, so they're not relying just on sweeping trust fund accounts or some other things. They're actually taking some cost out of the budget that was originally introduced. So that's a good sign, too. And there are lots of accounts that typically require supplemental spending in the year, and they put aside some money for that. So there are some responsible measures, but certainly there's room for improvement.
Well, give us an example.
Well, we would say the Mass Health program. So that's been a big issue, certainly on Beacon Hill for a while now. But the employer community was willing to go along with an assessment if it was part of a package, if there were some significant reforms to Mass Health, and those weren't done in the budget. We're hoping that they still may pass them this month.
I wanted to ask you about that because your group and other business-backed groups signed on to a letter calling on the legislature to couple these reforms with the assessment. They did the assessment and not the reforms. There were a couple of groups, notably, who caught my eye. The Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce didn't sign on. Is there a schism within the business community over this?
I don't think that there's a schism, but I think, different businesses are impacted by that assessment differently. And we took issue with the whole assessment because we thought the premise was wrong. They were saying that the growth in Mass Health was due to a decline in employer-offered insurance, and we think that it's far more complicated than that. And there were a lot of employers who provide very generous coverage who would have been impacted by the assessment as it was originally introduced.
Well, as we were taping this interview on Friday morning, our viewers know we tape in advance here, there was still no agreement between the House and Senate on the marijuana law, legalized marijuana, with one of the big sticking points being the tax rate. The House wants 28%, which is in the upper echelon of state pot tax rates. The Senate wanted to go along with the 12% that was in the law as written by the pro-pot legalization forces. Which does your group support, or are you looking for a compromise?
Well, what I would say, our organization was opposed to the ballot initiative, and the reason is we thought that there would be a lot of cost to the state while they are able to build the regulatory apparatus they need for the industry, and the ballot initiative didn't provide for any of those costs. And so we thought in the short term it would be a net cost to the state. So I do think having the higher tax revenue might be helpful in that sense to make sure we cover the cost. But at the end of the day, even with the higher rate, it's not going to be what saves our budget woes. It's not going to raise enough revenue.
Even at the 28%, you don't think it's wise to rely on that as a panacea? Well, for some of our budget problems? I
mean, I think it could help. So if the industry is $1 billion a year when it's fully up, then 28% would be $280 million. It's certainly not chump change, you know, and it's worth considering. But, you know, I don't think that that will solve a lot of the revenue or all of the revenue challenges.
I got to take a break, but I want to pick back up on that part of our conversation when we continue our conversation with the president of the Massachusetts Taxpayers Foundation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking about the state budget, revenues, and most importantly, the taxes you pay and may wind up paying in the years ahead with the president of the Mass Taxpayers Foundation, Eileen McAnneny. And just before we move on to other topics, Eileen, we were talking about the debate on Beacon Hill now over how much to tax marijuana sales. One of the criticisms of the higher-end tax rate that the House wants is that if you set it too high, you drive the customer base back to the black market. We saw recently our slot parlor down in Plainridge offering all sorts of enticements, cutting basically their take to try to gin up more action and thus more revenues. Do you buy that theory that if you set the tax rate too high, you're just going to kill the golden goose?
Well, I do think that tax rates matter, and I think the higher they are, you're probably right, it will drive people to the black market. But if you think about the ballot initiative, it allows each adult to cultivate 6 plants in their household, so 12 per household if there are 2 adults. I mean, that's a lot of marijuana that people can grow personally that may not be subject to the tax. So I think the law in and of itself shows the problem with making law by ballot initiative. It was written by proponents, and there are a lot of issues with it.
About the gambling industry here in Massachusetts, they're busily working away on Wynn World over there in Everett, Wynn Boston Harbor, and out in Springfield. There's going to be a big gleaming new casino, even as Connecticut moves to build one right over the border, 15 minutes away. Are we, more specifically, is Beacon Hill overly relying on these kinds of new revenue sources in their planning? Are their eyes bigger than their mouth?
Well, I do think because it took a long time to enact that law that we missed the wave, if you will, and certainly the fact that there'll be a new casino right over the border in Connecticut calls some of the revenue in Springfield into question, for sure. You know, again, I think that gambling revenue isn't going to solve all of the budget woes.
I want to take our final minute just for the big multi-million-dollar question here. A big part of your job is monitoring the prospect of higher tax rates here. Are our taxes going to be going up in the next year?
Well, I do think that there's a lot of focus on Beacon Hill on the pending ballot initiative in 2018.
The so-called millionaires tax.
The so-called millionaires tax. I think with the prospect of that bringing in $2 billion, lots of folks are already thinking about ways to spend that money. So I think that that is a big issue. But it does, you know, today sales tax revenues came out slower than usual. I do think we may need to have a more comprehensive conversation about our tax codes as our economy changes to make sure it's keeping up.
Well, there may be, just very briefly here, there may be a ballot question to lower the sales tax rate,
right? There may indeed, right.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, again, I think that doing tax policy piecemeal is not the way to go.
Yeah. Listen, thank you We'll look forward to having you back, and as we get into the next calendar year, love to have you here to debate the other side on that millionaire's tax, because I know your group opposes it.
Yeah, welcome the opportunity. Thank you. All right,
Appreciate
take care.
it.
Sure, bye-bye.
Eileen McAnneny of the Mass Taxpayers Foundation. That's it for me. Now, back over to my colleagues for more WBZ News.